Hi there, Chad here from Chibi.ai. In this video, I want to show you just something off the cuff. I'm going to sort of start writing a short story, and a fiction short story. And I don't want you to take this video purely as only something that you can use for fiction writing. I think some of the techniques that you're going to find me use here can be applied to blogs, articles, essays, whatever it is that you're trying to create. And you'll see some of the power of Chibi in this and how it can help you create content in a really sort of effective way. So to get things started, I'm just going to go into this testing demo space, and I have an untitled document here created already. Let me just give it a title. We're going to do some sort of a hard-boiled crime thriller story. And we want to get started with sort of how do we set the tone, right? How are we going to write in a hard-boiled crime thriller sort of style? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go over here into my roles, and I'm going to create a new one. And I'm just going to call this the hard-boiled writer. And then hit next. We're going to pick a model. I think I'm just going to pick just an 11 billion parameter Llama 3.2. It's a very cheap model, a very fast model. It'll let me iterate quickly. And if I ever bump into places where I think the model isn't quite powerful enough, I can just change it to a different one at that moment. We need to tell our role what it is, how it's supposed to write and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to cheat a little bit because we have a special function here in Chibi that helps me write this. So I'm just going to say a hard-boiled, crime author, something like that. And we'll hit this button here. And what we get is the start of a profile, sort of a persona. It says you're a hard-boiled crime novelist. Your task is to write gritty, suspenseful stories featuring detectives, criminals, and morally ambiguous characters. Use short, punchy sentences, employ cynical and world-weary tone, favor dialogue over description. All right, that's good. Set in a dark, dangerous, and urban environment. Let's see what happens if we push this again. Do we get a little bit of, we get a little bit of cleanup. And okay, it's been shortened up a little bit, cleaned up a little bit. Okay, I think that's about good. Let's go ahead and bump up the temperature here a little. Let's raise the max token just a slight bit, and we'll make this 1. And then we'll save. At the same time, we're going to set this as the active role. What that means is now this role is doing the writing inside the document. If I hover right here, I can see hard-boiled writer is what's currently there, and it's using Meta Llama 3.2. And we can close that down. Okay, so we probably want to set the stage with a scene. So let's use a slash command here. And I call it slash command. Sometimes we call it inline prompts. Essentially, what this lets me do is instruct the AI, or sometimes I'll say instruct Chibi to do something for me. So I'm going to say brainstorm the start of a hard-boiled crime thriller story set in the, let's say, late 1950s, Manhattan. Is that how you spell Manhattan? There we go. Okay, and we'll let that run. It says here's the potential start. It gives us a title, gives us a protagonist. That's pretty cool. Story begins. Rain poured down on the city like a dirty blanket, drumming a dismal beat on the pavement. I stood outside my office. All right, so it's doing it from like a narrative perspective. That's pretty cool. I like those types of stories. Okay, so Jack Lucky LaRosa, tough-talking, hard-boiled private eye. Okay, I like it. I like that. It's interesting because a lot of AI models seem to use Jack for like hard-boiled. It's kind of funny. All right, so let's just change this. Let's take this and we'll make this the title. Rainy night in the city. All right, and we don't need the lead. We don't actually need that anymore. We've got our protagonist here. Okay, so let's try something here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this, and I'm going to click here, and I got this create a character action here that does something for me. and I'll show you what it does here in just a moment. We're going to pop up here in just a second. And Jack Lucky LaRosa is a ruggedly handsome man in his mid-40s with a face that's been etched by the harsh realities of his life. His sharp jawline and piercing blue eyes are tempered by a web of fine lines and creases, all right? Like a worn leather saddle that's seen its fair share of rough rides. A distinctive scar above his left eyebrow and a crooked nose broken at least once give him a battle-hardened air that's impossible to ignore. His dark hair is slicked back, revealing a prominent widow's peak, and his voice is a low, gravelly growl that is equal parts charm and menace. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we've got description, we've got some personality here. He's a complex stew of bravado and vulnerability, a healthy dose of sarcasm and wit and tough talking. Okay. And his backstory is a long and winding road with triumph and tragedy, moments of great luck and terrible misfortune. Former cop, he was forced to leave the force after a high-profile scandal. Okay. And now he's a private eye. That's good. Haunted by the ghosts of his past, lost love, and a brother who died in the line of duty. Oof, okay. It's a pretty good character description here. Let's go ahead and hit continue. I'm going to go into memory now, and I've got this character here, and I'm just going to update the label here and just call it character Jack. So now we have a memory field here so that Chibi knows the character. And we can roll this up. And what happened here? I have this story and fiction section here. This is something that I created. This is something that you can create for yourself. In the future, we are going to have presets, and these may become presets. Create a character here. Essentially what it does is it analyzes a given passage. You saw that when I did the character thing, I selected this first, right? I selected that and then I ran this action. And it analyzed the passage, it found anything in there that might describe a character. In this case, this purely describes a character, so it's pretty easy. But if you have somewhere in your story, or if, as we're going along, if we have somewhere in the story where it looks like there's a hint of someone else being created as a character, what I can do is just select that passage or those passages around it even, and then I can run this action again and get a new character, and we can get a full description set up pretty quickly, pretty much in a click. Yeah, so it's going to fully flesh out that character. It says do not create a random character. Use the information from the passage. So it's not trying to, come up with something out of the blue like a lot of times an AI will try to do, but it's instead using whatever I have selected. Notice right here, I have selection set up. And so this is one of the really cool things about Chibi that I want to point out is once I have this tool set up, this create a character thing, right, that you saw me just use, I don't have to worry about this prompt or anything anymore. It's essentially done. And an action is a chain of sequence that happens one after another. So after the AI generates the character description and stuff, it goes down into review. You saw that when I ran it, right? I got that pop-up that let me see it. And then when I decided that it was good, I just hit continue. So it meant that it moved down into this step, and this is just saving it to memory, which is why it shows up here. So this is a very powerful tool. Now I can extract characters out of text and get fuller or more thorough character descriptions set up for them. And then it gets put into memory so that if I ever need to use it, then Chibi's aware of it while we're writing. And we have this really cool toggle thing here. So if I don't need all the additional detail about the character Jack to be in a certain portion when I'm writing, I can turn this on and off. So for now, we'll leave it on. And let's take this away now. And let's see how our story is starting out. This gave us a pretty good boost here for a beginning. It says, rain poured down on the city like a dirty blanket, drumming a dismal beat on the pavement. I stood outside my office, cigarette smoke curling up from my lips as I scanned the street. The neon signs of the all-night diners and bars reflected off the wet pavement. Okay, femme fatale type emerged from the downpour, her red dress clinging to her curves as a wet rag, or like a wet rag. She was a looker, all right, but I'd seen her type before. The kind that walked into a joint, made eyes with the owner, and left with his wallet. Ooh, all right. LaRosa's private investigations, she said, her voice husky as she pushed open the door. I need to see the boss. I raised an eyebrow. The boss, being me, of course. What can I do for you, sweetheart? Yeah, so it says, I'm looking for my sister. All right. Well, a flash of desperation. She was missing for 3 days. Cops don't care. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, All right, so we got basically a missing persons case. We have a couple of characters where we're in the LaRosa's private investigations office, and where do we want to go from here? One thing that I can do is I can come down here and we do something that we call the AI dance, which is maybe a weird term, but essentially what it means is like just like in a dance, right? Like, you know, one person leads and then the other takes over like for a step or two, and just kind of have like a back and forth as you have the dance. In the AI dance, you take the lead as the writer. You maybe start the sentence or start the passage, and then you let the AI take over where you feel like it's appropriate to. And depending on where you let the AI take over, it kind of determines how much control you have. So let me show you, for instance. If I say something like, let's read the last sort of section here. I took a long drag on my cigarette, letting the smoke curl up around my head. This was going to be a long night. Okay, Dollface, I'll take the case. But I gotta warn you, in this town, the only thing that's free is the rain. All right, so maybe as I recount the night, okay, let's just say something like this. And we have some tools here. You notice how these kind of changed a little bit? Because if I put a punctuation on the end, see how it changes? No punctuation, we get different tools. We have this button right here. This is the finish button. Essentially what it says is, I've got this start. When I click this, finish the current sentence. Don't go on and add more passages or paragraphs after that. Just write till the end of the sentence. So let's go ahead and click there. And it says, as I recount the night, my memories of the femme fatale and her missing sister began to blur like the rain-soaked streets outside. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was in over my head, that this case was another loose thread in the frayed fabric of the city's dark underbelly, waiting to be pulled hard enough to unravel everything. All right, that's pretty cool. So that's the power of the finish button. And what I mean by the amount of control you have is, you know, see how we have like, as I recount the night, I think I stopped right here, right? This is where I hit the button, and then Chibi essentially had the freedom to create all of this. And he's creating this based off of the hard-boiled writer role. So this is what sets the tone and the style and that kind of stuff. If you feel like it's not quite writing like how you want, what you could do at this point, you can go into your role and adjust this to give it more instruction on how you like to write. Tell it what kind of writer it is, the tone, the style. Maybe if there are other authors that you know of from like maybe the Gutenberg project that you would like this to mimic, you could do that. Maybe you could adjust the controls and stuff, but once you've kind of fine-tuned your role to the point where it's writing how you like, you, for the most part, don't really need to do much with that. Just make sure that it's the active role while you're doing your writing. But in terms of control of this, the other thing that you can do is, excuse me, the other thing you can do here is just write more. So let's say that as I recount the night, my memories of, let's just change it to this. My memories of her missing sister began to, let's do this. Made me remember, and we've got more to the sentence, right? As I recount the night, my memories of her missing sister made me remember. This is a longer lead, which sort of directs the AI to kind of follow through in a more controlled manner, so to speak, right? So if you want less control and you want to give the AI, if you want to give Chibi more freedom, you write a smaller, shorter, more ambiguous lead. And then if you want more control, you write a longer, more focused lead here before you hit the finish button. Now, in terms of the finish button, you can hit this button here, or you can hold down Command Shift and Enter, or Control Shift and Enter if you're on Windows. And we just hit that keyboard shortcut. Made me remember flicker. It's let's see. As I recount the night, my memories of made me remember. It did not follow up that one very well. Let's try it again. Okay. As I recount the night, my memories of her missing sister. All right, let's put a comma here. As I recount the night, my memories of her missing sister made me remember. Okay, that's interesting. It's not picking up on this for some reason. Okay, so maybe it was confused by that. It could have been the model too. It's a very small model, so I need to maybe take account of that. Think of that in the future. If this type of thing happens again, maybe I upgrade to up it to a more capable model. And so made me remember the face that flashed my own mind was her sister's name, Lena, a high-class call girl with connections to some of the most. Okay, all right. So let's take this and let's use our action again. Create a character. Let's see if it picks up on Lena, and if we can get a character creation description set up for her. Okay. Sure likes the term polished onyx, doesn't it? Polished veneer, poised, calculating exterior. Okay, let's stop this. Let's go back into our action and the create a character. Let's go into the settings, and instead of 3.2, let's switch it up to something like, let's try maybe Mistral Large. This is one of the really cool things about Chibi 2 is you have access to pretty much any model that you want, including like Claude models from Anthropic or GPT models from OpenAI. Gives you some really great freedom, because there's going to be times too, especially like in a story like this, where it's a crime thriller, hard boiled. It might have some language that that sometimes OpenAI might moderate, Claude as well, and that can be pretty annoying when you're trying to write a story. You're obviously not like trying to do anything, illegal with information or anything. You're writing a fiction story, and then the AI decides that it wants to moderate everything. It kind of gets pretty annoying. So let's try this again with a different model. See what Mistral does with this prompt. Create a character prompt here. Notice how it's on step 1 right now. It's running. It's going to go down to step 2 and then pause so that we can review that once once Mistral is done. Okay, Lena. Okay, there we go. No, Lena's a chameleon too. Charm, wit, icy calculation, high-class call girl, a profession she fell into after running away from home, torn apart by addiction and abuse. Wow, okay. Yep, this is definitely a hard-boiled story. Okay. All right, a silhouette of elegance and enigma. I like that. Let's take this part off, and we'll just keep that like that, and we'll continue. And let's go into memory, and let's add Lena. Okay. So, all right, who is Lena? Was Lena this? No, Lena's the sister, so we still don't know. Yeah, we don't know her name yet. We just know it's a woman in a red dress at this point, don't we? Yep. Okay. Just then I realized I didn't know the woman in the red dress's name. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we get here from a finish. A trivial thing, perhaps, but one I'd need to rectify. I was going to dig up dirt on her sister and all the unsavory characters she's no doubt left behind. Interesting. Okay. Now, instead of trying to make this video go on and on and on, the main points that I wanted to showcase here is you can develop a role. This role writes like you want. You can swap between AI models so that you can have full control. You can update the role as you're working. You can also set up memory so that Chibi's aware of certain characters, scenes, other things that you would want in your story that are going to be maybe consistent, reoccurring things that will come up that you want to make sure that it has knowledge of. So, for instance, maybe as if you're creating a really long piece of work and you want to make sure that chapter 2 understands kind of the gist of what's happening in chapter 1, you could summarize chapter 1, put the summary into memory, and then as you're working on chapter 2, then chapter 2 would be aware of what's going on from chapter 1. Things like that. Memory is really good for. Notice how like it's essentially a place for you to store knowledge that is not, directly inside of the document itself and inside the story as we write it. But it also gives you the ability to make sure that the AI is aware of it. So it's a very powerful thing. And it also has these toggles. So remember, if you've got a bunch of things in here that are maybe from parts of the story that you're not necessarily working on at that moment, you can toggle them off. This right here will toggle everything off. So like even if these are on, if the whole document memory is turned off, then these are ignored. And it just gives you a really nice sort of playground to work in. Then we have actions. Actions give you the ability to build tools for yourself. As you saw in here, I've got the create a character action. This is it's become a tool that I can use to extract characters out of the content as I write it. That's really quite powerful. I'm going to show you one more here real quick. I'm going to come down here and just click in this empty space, and I'm going to click ways forward. And what's going to happen is Chibi's going to, oh, it looked like it. Let me just do stop. All right, let's go back to here. Oops, not the roll. I'm going to my action. Let's go to ways forward, and let's check our model here. Let's jump this up to the 90 billion model. Okay. So you notice that if like tiny models like 11 billion, right? Sometimes they don't quite follow the instructions. Sometimes they do. If you've got a really simple prompt, a smaller model like that can be very, very effective. It's faster. It's very cheap. And it can, and if you can get the lower models, the smaller models like that to do what you want, then it's a win, right? So let's try it again. 2 ways forward. And what we are supposed to get is 3 sort of options that we can review. Okay. Introduce the woman's name as she reveals it. Have her eyes flicker with a hint of nervousness. As I press forward, the information about the missing sister, the woman's composure begins to crack. Okay. The woman's mention of her sister, Lena, triggers a flashback. Let's see. I think those are not too bad. So let's hit continue and see what happens. Notice I get these pop-ups here. It says introduce the woman's name. As I press, it's like these 3 options have become things that I can click. Now, the only reason that you saw that pop up is because in my action right now, I decided that I wanted a chance to see it. So there's like a pause between the time when the AI or when Chibi has created the 3 ways forward to where this is being shown. If I close that step, then these will just pop up directly and I can just choose one. Let's choose the woman's mention of her sister's name as the way forward, and let's see what we get. Okay, it says, sorry, sweetheart, I said, stubbing out my cigarette in the ashtray. You didn't give me your name. You know what they say, you can't help someone you don't know. Her eyes narrowed, a hint of defensiveness creeping in her voice. I'm Samantha. Samantha Martin. My sister's name is Lena. Okay. The name hit me like a punch in the gut. Lena, the call girl with the secrets and the lies. I felt a shiver. Okay, so starting to talk about how it's affecting him. Maybe he has. I regarded Samantha with newfound interest. Samantha Martin, nice to meet you. Okay, so we have Samantha Martin. I could extract the character. I can come down here, and if I want to do the AI dance to continue the story as I want to, right? Like, this is part of what we mean by Human+AI is the way forward, because I'm involved, right? None of this stuff is just like, write a story about a hard-boiled crime thriller, protagonist Jack and whatever. I'm not filling in some fields and then letting it run and then just a story comes out that, in theory could be good, but probably doesn't really have the nuance that could come from the writer being involved, right? And I think a lot of people feel this way about AI content, right? And this is why GB is not designed to be like a massive generator of, basically mediocre content. Keeps you involved. Things take a little longer, but that's intentional because the goal is higher quality, better results. Eventually, though, you can think about, once you've got your toolkit set up, these actions, you're free to create as many of these as you want. You're not limited to what we create in our presets when that becomes available. You can create your own. So you can imagine when you have your own kit set up that does exactly what you like. You got your models picked out. You got your prompts tuned to just how you like to write. Everything that you saw here can be faster, but again, you're still involved, and it's your actions and your tools that are kind of crafting it. You can kind of imagine, some of those like sort of ancient Japanese craftsmen where they've been, you know, building their product for 50 years and they still say that they're just a journeyman working hard to, master the craft. And, every time they create a new product, they're trying to do better, right? It's kind of the mantra that we have too, where it's more about quality and in the end result than it is about necessarily speed. Although obviously the AI is going to help you, do brainstorming, writing like this, and with your added nuance in it, it just makes everything flow faster. When you get stuck, you can ask for ways forward. If you want to enhance your character descriptions, you can do that. And this is all in fiction writing, but you can, if you're not a fiction writer and if you're like a blogger or something like that, just imagine the tools that you could create for blogging, your research tools and your writing and outlining and stuff like that. You can definitely take advantage of that too. Essentially, if AI can do it, you can build a tool to make it happen in your way. And so I hope that you find this interesting. And if you do, and you haven't tried Chibi before, just go and connect to Chibi. You connect with your Google account. You instantly get 3 days of access after you supply an OpenRouter key. OpenRouter is just a service that we use that gives you the ability to have lots of different AI models available, including the OpenAI and Anthropic Claude and a whole bunch of others that you maybe have never heard of. But they give you more control. You get more affordable AI models. And it's just a really powerful system, as you've seen. And I'm barely just kind of scratching the surface of what we can do here. And at some point in the future, you might be watching this video in the past, and this has already been released. But our action presets, we don't plan to just release a baseline set and be done. We're going to be consistently updating them, adding more, and even over time, polishing them with the latest state-of-the-art AI prompting techniques and strategies, research-backed, peer-reviewed and everything, to make sure that what we're offering you is just top-notch AI quality. You have all of the latest state-of-the-art models available to you and really advanced, powerful, capable actions and tools that we can create in our presets. And of course, everything is completely customizable by you. We believe in a transparent system rather than a black box. So all those tools and everything that you have, they're essentially yours to tune and tweak however you see fit. So I hope you found this interesting. And if you have any questions, just drop down into the comments below. Be happy to help you out. And again, you get a 3-day trial just by connecting to Chibi. Connect, give this all a try, see what you like about it, see what you think. And if you decide to subscribe and join our app within the 3-day trial, you'll get a nice little 25% discount for acting quickly too. So anyways, I hope to see you on the inside. And again, any questions, drop them in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe if you've gotten this far too. Thank you very much. And until next time, take care.